Hello basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training. Today I'm going to give you what I'm going to call the complete triangle basketball playbook. Basically today in this video I'm going to show you what I call the triangle motion offense and then some triangle basketball plays out of that motion offense. So let's get down to the clipboard. I'm going to explain to you a few different plays. I'm going to be going up against different zones as well. So stay tuned. I hope that you enjoy. Let's get down to the clipboard. Okay, so first in this playbook, what I'm going to show you is the motion. We're going to have player 1 pass over to player 2, and he's going to cut down and create the triangle offense. From here, that could right away give him an open shot. Now, I don't have any defense here right now. I'm just showing you the motion without any defense. And then what we're going to have is either player 5, he can go up, set a screen on one of these two players. It doesn't really matter. That would be more of a set offense at that time. Once whatever is happening over here does not create any basket opportunities or anything, what we're going to have now is player 3. He's going to go and screen away for player 4, and player 4 is going to become the point. Player 2 is going to pass to player 4, and player 3 is going to be popping out. At this time, we're going to have player 5 setting a screen. Player 1 is going to be going through the screen. Player 4 is going to be passing over to player 3, and player 1 is going to be popping out towards the free throw line extended. Player 3 is going to pass down to player 1. Player 2 is going to be using player 5 as a screen again. He's going to be going down to the low post. And player 3 is going to be going down, creating again that triangle. Player 5 is going to be popping up. If nothing happens over here, again, same idea. Player 4 screens away. Player 5 now becomes the point. I almost said post. And then we're going to be having player 4 popping out. We're going to swing the ball. Player 2 is going to be setting the screen. Player 3 is popping out. Player 1 is going down to the low post. And then we're going to be having player 2 clearing out. Player 4 is passing to 3. And again, we have our triangle offense. Now that motion can be ran against any kind of zone defense as well as any kind of man-to-man defense. I showed you with no defense just so that you could get the motions down, and because it does work and it is a motion as you can see, well, let's get down to some set plays now. Picking up to where we left off, where we now have a guard in the low post. There's probably a mismatch somewhere, and we also have two forwards out on the perimeter. We have a center out here and a shooting guard over here. So what I would do here is, and basically these are plays that I can explain to my team, and then I want to see them run it themselves on the court. Read and react, see what the defense and the offense is giving you, and then going from there. So we would have player 4 in a pin down screen on player 1. He's going to be using that screen. He's going to be going and running up towards the 3-point line. In that direction, player 3 is going to be setting a dribble handoff with player 1. And what we're going to be having now is after this screen and after this screen, one of two things can happen. First off, I want player 5 to go and screen away for player 2. That's going to bring player 2 up to the point, and player 1 is going to be dribbling out towards that 45-degree angle from the free throw line or the elbow. Now, two things can happen. Personally, I want to see player 5 rolling towards the basket after that screen, and I want to see player 4 clearing out, and player 3 should be still at this point setting a massive screen. Player 1 could take that 3-point shot. Player 1 could pass up the 3-point shot, pass to player 2 for the 3-point shot, or either one of these players could be passing to player 5 who's cutting towards the rim at this point in time. Now, if nothing is created, there's still no options to be given. I want player 5 to go and clear out to this side. I want player 2 to go and set a screen for player 1, and just a simple screen and roll towards the basket. Player 5 would be then clearing out. That would be a shot or a pass down to player 2 for a layup. Personally, if a set play does not work, I always set up the closest possible screen and roll so that now you can get hopefully a quick opportunity, because if your league has a shot clock, definitely need to get the ball off before that's out. Now in this next play, what I'm going to show you is the swing that I showed you in the motion offense. However, this one is going to lead to a 3-point shot, and this actually got one of my players 8 3-point shots in the first half alone. Let's get down to the clipboard. Let's check this out. So we're going to have player 1 pass over to player 3, and he's going to create that triangle offense. What's going to happen now is instead of passing to player 3 over in that wing, we're going to be going and having player 4 and 5 set a screen on player 1. So let's get the defense in. We're playing against a man-to-man defense. Okay, so now we have the defense in, and what I want to see now is player 2 popping up to the point right about there, and we're going to be having player 1. He is going to be going and using player 5 and player 4 as a screen. Hopefully player 1 gets stuck on one of those two players. We're going to have player 3 swing the ball over to player 2. He's going to take 1 to 2 dribbles over to this side of the point. Player 1 is going to be popping out, and he should be open for that 3-point or mid-range shot. Again, very effective play that starts in the triangle and ends up with a 3-point shot on the other side of the court. Now, if player 1 was unable to get that off, he can go and dribble up. Player 2, because he passed over to him, can now head down towards this low corner. And again, we're popping up, popping out, and we are still in our triangle offense, so we could run the motion triangle offense again, or we can run this next set play. And this next set play is to get either player 3 an open 3-point or mid-range shot, or player 1 a layup down the middle of the key. And how we're going to basically do this is have player 5 set a back screen on player 3 and a back screen on player 1 by player 4. And what's going to happen now is player 1 is going to be driving towards the basket. And we're also going to be having player 3 trail down towards this low corner, where now if player 1's man or player 4's man sagged off to play help defense on player 1, he can kick the ball out to player 3 for a mid-range or 3-point shot. Now these are all really effective plays against a man-to-man defense. Let's go and see this up against a 2-3 zone and see how we can do against that 2-3 zone. Okay, so we're up against the 2-3 zone at this point in time. We're going to have player 1 pass over to player 3, which will bring player 3 red up. Player 5 will pop over. Player 4 will cover backside of the key. And we're going to have player 1 cut down towards that low corner. Now he could be open really quickly for that 3-point shot, but from there player 3 is going to be recovering down to go and guard him. Now at this point in time, I really personally like to have player 1 pass to player 5, and I want to see player 4 cutting across the key towards this high post. That's going to allow player 5 to pass up to 4 for the mid-range or free throw line area shot. That could also bring down player 2 red, which will now leave player 2 blue wide open and will allow him to take that shot as well. So now we're going to be having multiple different opportunities depending on what this defense is giving us. Now the reason why this is effective is because now we're overloading the side. We're not just playing a triangle offense anymore, and we're effectively creating a shot from that 3-point line area. Now, player 4 will be running out and player 2 will be running out to go and contest that 3-point shot. And at this point, we can have player 4 cutting towards this low post, which could create a layup as well if player 2 is unable to get that shot off quick enough. Now, another play that I personally really like to run is having player 2 set a screen on player 2 red on that side. Player 1 is going to use that screen, and as soon as player 1 passes that mid-court imaginary line, player 5 is also going to be going down to that low post. He's going to pass to player 4, which will bring player 4 red up. Player 1 should then be wide open in that low that low corner for the 3-point shot. And what we can also have is player 2, he can be rolling towards the basket, where if player 1 was to pass to player 5, player 2 can be rolling towards the basket, pass player 2 the ball for a floater. That could also collapse the defense where he can kick it out to 3. So there's a couple of different opportunities here as well. Now against a 3-2 zone, most likely this is what it's going to look like. And what we're going to have is player 3 receiving that ball from player 1, and what we're going to have is player 1 cutting down to that low corner, which is a huge empty area for the 3-2 zone. And because of that, we're going to have a double team with player 1 and player 2 on player 3. And if that does end up in a double team, that will leave player 1 wide open for that shot. Now, what I want to see as well is if player 2 was to head down to go and guard player 1, I want to see player 5 setting a back screen on player 2, and I want to see player 1 using that screen. That's going to bring player 5 up to guard player 1, and player 5 is going to roll towards the basket. At this time, player 1 is going to be able to pass the ball to player 5 through a bounce pass or an alley-oop for an easy layup. Now the 1-3-1 is becoming a very popular defense, and so most likely this is what it would look like. And we're going to have player 1 passing to player 3. That's going to bring player 2 and player 1 over, and we're going to be having player 1 cut down towards this low corner. Again, he could be most likely wide open for that 3-point shot. The downfall to this defense is because now we have 3 players in a triangle against the 1-3-1. That's leaving these 3 players being guarded essentially by 1 player. So you could have player 4. I know there's that rule, no cross-court passes, bad, but when you have nobody guarding basically this lower quarter of the court, you could quite literally do an alley-oop if you're at the high school level to player 4 for the layup. But if this is not the high school level, or you don't have any athletic players enough to be able to catch a pass like that, what I want to see done is player 5, again, same as last play, setting a back screen on player 2. We're going to have player 1 using that screen that's going to be collapsing this defense, and I want to see player 5 rolling towards the basket. I also want to see player 4 cutting back door, and that might bring player 3 down. That's a possibility. And I want to see player 2 coming up to the point. So now we have 3 points of possible attacking. We have player 5, which could be a bounce pass. We have player 4, which could be a bounce pass or a lob. Or we can have a kick out to player 2 for a 3-point shot. And we also have now at this point 3 offensive rebounders, 2 of which are our tallest players right here. So very effective play as well against a 1-3-1. Now, I hope that this basketball strategy and these basketball plays help your team win more games. If you want some custom-made basketball practice plans, check out the link in the description to that, and I will see you guys again in our later on video today.